NHS hospitals treat over 250,000 of us every day.
That is an abnormal pumping of the heart.
Open 24/7, hospitals help begin life, save life, and provide care when life ends. If you think hospitals are kept running by doctors and nurses, think again.
It looks like a chip shop menu, doesn't it?
This is where we actually store the donated bones.
We tend to be the pixie service.
The whole trust is connected by very primitive drain pipes, essentially.
How are you feeling?
Exclusive access to one of Britain's busiest hospitals
Rolled in with an extra donor.
allows us behind the scenes to explore a secret world where pharmacists make food for the most vulnerable patients.
One bacteria inside the product could cause death to the patient.
Cleaners spray poisonous gas with strange robots.
Infection kills. I couldn't contemplate not doing the deep clean.
A topsy-turvy world where engineers resuscitate dead machines.
If it fails, it's absolute chaos.
And doctors screw people together, where maintenance is a matter of life and death.
If it was your relative being brought in here to be operated on to have their life saved, you'd want everything working.
Hundreds of thousands of unseen hands keep our hospitals running. This is the ultimate access all areas backstage pass to the secret life of the hospital. The NHS has 1.7 million staff, making it the biggest employer in Europe. Logging over 125 million visits a year, hospitals around the UK are busier than ever, treating 1 million of us every 36 hours. But none of us sees how a major hospital gears up around us when we're ill. In southwest England, the Royal Devon and Exeter is a typical large modern hospital. With 750 beds, 7,200 staff, caring for 750,000 patients a year.
Hello, RD&E resus.
It's full-on 24/7.
Medical or trauma?
Incoming ambulance crews give 10 minutes warning. The switchboard operators act fast, alerting the right people with the right expertise.
Oh, no.
Right now.
It's literally the worst feeling in the world when that goes off. It bleeds instantly, it goes to your pit of your stomach.
The NHS uses 130,000 pages, more than any organisation on earth. Blood can be ordered.
Red cells.
X-ray imaging put on standby. Operating theatres prepped. Laboratories readied. Anaesthetists woken up. Porters called in. In minutes, the switchboard can mobilise an army.
So we get specialties and expertise from all around the hospital to manage the patient so that they're there waiting before he arrives.
Everybody ready for a lift?
Okay.
Ready, steady, go.
So this is Margaret Dodd, she's 76, intracranial hemorrhage, it's primary diagnosis.
The assembled team swings into action, fighting to save Margaret's life.
You've basically got someone's life in your hands, and if you delay, then that's going to have an impact on whether they survive or not.
As they rush her to X-ray for critical scans, her blood samples are rushed to the lab for testing. The problem is the hospital is half a mile long, and every second counts. The solution? The Estates Department Rapid Transit System.
The system is basically the email for solid objects. Key in the address to where you want it to go. As if by magic, it goes.
The pods fly to and from 63 locations throughout the hospital. Loads of up to 2 kilos are propelled by powerful air pumps at 6 meters per second.
It's very fast. I don't think I would like to be a pod.
They rocket along the hospital's arteries of 6-inch tubes, unseen inside the ceilings and walls.
It'll probably be 3 to 4 minutes maximum from one end of the hospital to the other.
The emergency samples are whisked to a place we never see. The Blood Sciences Lab.
So the whole trust is connected by this network of very primitive drain pipes, essentially, but it allows us to get those specimens rapidly to the lab from A&E, so we can start that process of getting those results back to the clinician so they can get the patient sorted out.
Blood tests are so crucial in diagnosis that 95% of emergency patients have blood sent for analysis. On top of that, hundreds of vials of blood arrive from all 30 wards in the morning rush hour.
I can hear another pod coming.
So how do they pick out the urgent ones like Margaret's from A&E or intensive care?
Everybody else have their clear bags. The red bags come from an urgent place such as the emergency department, so we can tell at a glance that it's an urgent one rather than a normal one.
If a sample from A&E arrived now, we'd expect that to be done and dusted within 1 hour.
That first hour is key for a seriously injured patient like Margaret. Medics need information fast, from scans, from blood tests, and from medical records.
Any calls that come through the emergency phone line, we have to get those notes within an hour of receiving that request.
In one room, Health Records keeps the 75,000 files accessed in the last 2 years. Over 145,000 older ones are also stored on site. But when you add the off-site archives, there are around 750,000 files dating back to the 1950s. With so many files stacked on the shelves, how do they find an emergency patient's medical notes?
We use our lovely PAS system to find where the notes are. Depending where they are is then when the real fun starts.
Just like the blood test lab, the Health Records emergency desk is in a race against the clock.
It is quite complicated when you think that we run a 24-hour service 7 days a week. It has been this way for a long time. Medical records, yes. The NHS has been going since 1948, and doctors have been using paper long before then.
A squad of dedicated clerks are well drilled to beat the 1 hour target. By hand.
It should be in here somewhere. Hopefully they're in the right place, because when you've got 145,000 sets of notes, that can be a nightmare to find.
The system does work well. It's a very well-oiled machine.
But in the next 3 years, Health Records is going digital. As the pod system pumps in more and more samples, the blood lab is under pressure. Across the UK, 300,000 patients are tested a day. That's 6.2 million tests a year in this lab alone. How can a handful of lab technicians possibly process results fast enough to beat that crucial 1 hour turnaround?
Automation plays a massive part in what we do. We'll generate about 25,000 results a day. The days of bubbling test tubes and crazy scientists have gone. Having said that, we have got a few crazy scientists milling around, but the automation is key these days to diagnose and treat patients.
Doctors can choose from a menu of 900 different tests for blood oxygen levels, liver or kidney function, or heart problems. Even cancers can be discovered or ruled out.
Some of the tests are equally as valid as a negative result as they are with a positive result.
The robot analyzers are super fast and ultra reliable, but not infallible. What if they make a mistake?
The machines themselves are constantly monitored. If a result is generated that's abnormal, that's where the human element comes into it. So automation is great, but we still need that Mark 1 human eyeball to look at that result and decide what to do.
As the emergency department admit a stream of new casualties, the first hour is almost up for 76-year-old Margaret. She's still unconscious. Her blood results reveal good oxygen levels and her brain scan is clear. So she's now in the catheterization laboratory, where consultants inject a dye to investigate her heart function.
Actually, her arteries are normal and there's no blockage there, so it's not a heart attack. Now we can see the pumping. So that is an abnormal pumping of the heart. It's very discordant, and you can see the dye kind of hangs around. That should not happen. So this is clearly a problem with the muscle of the heart itself rather than the blood supply.
While Margaret is taken to a bed in intensive care, on the wards, the hospital comes face to face with its arch enemy.
So infection kills. I couldn't contemplate not doing the deep clean.
And goes to war on killer bugs. Hospitals are very unhealthy places. Sick people go there, taking a stream of bacteria and viruses with them. The foot soldiers in the constant battle against infection are the cleaners. 300,000 patients a year in England acquire an infection while under treatment, at a cost to the NHS of £1 billion.
There we are, your breakfast.
The danger of infection is present on every hospital ward. From bugs like norovirus and Clostridium difficile and MRSA, which is resistant to common antibiotics.
Resistant strains are a very dangerous proposition which we're facing at the moment. If you have an organism which is resistant to a majority or a vast range of antibiotics, then obviously we haven't got any options to treat the patient with.
1 in 30 of us has MRSA living harmlessly on our skin or in our nose.
Over your head.
But for patients with open wounds or weakened immune systems, MRSA can enter the body to cause serious infection, blood poisoning, and even death.
Hi, I'm Kat, one of the nurses. I'm going to do 2 swabs for MRSA. Okay. So one of your nose and one of your throat. Okay. Okay.
Hospitals screen every patient for MRSA before they get a bed.
Okay, and next is your throat. So open wide for me. Fantastic. There we go. All done. Okay.
A positive MRSA result triggers a protective regime on the wards.
The medics would put that patient into a side room and isolate them so that if there was a patient with multi-resistant organisms, we try and contain that and don't allow that to spread around other vulnerable patients.
So how do our biggest hospitals defend patients from such dangerous cross-infections?
Obviously, we do environmental cleaning every day in the hospital, 24/7, 365 days a year. But once a year, we make that decision to deep clean all of the inpatient environment.
In deploying the deep clean, they unleash Armageddon on killer bugs.
This is so important. You know, it's once a year, annual deep clean, when everything is stripped right back and cleaned throughout.
So we start at the top and we work our way down. So we take curtains out, everything comes out, old hand towels, old gloves, and we clean beds. We take beds apart completely. That's a really difficult task to do when a patient's lying on it.
The work that they're doing here today is absolutely vital to the running of the hospital. We can't run a hospital unless it's clean and safe.
The deep clean puts these 10 beds in the acute stroke unit out of action for most of the day. And NHS hospitals are always short of beds.
Infection kills. I couldn't contemplate not doing the deep clean. We have a duty to our patients to make sure it's as clean as possible.
The Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital has 60 departments spread over 6 acres. So how does it link them all together?
Hello, Porter, is John speaking. How can I help you?
There's nowhere porters don't know.
Excuse me, please.
No one they can't collect.
Thank you, guys.
Nothing they can't deliver.
Cheers, thank you.
Day or night.
Lovely. Thanks, Keith.
They know all the departments. They know all the bits of equipment. Don't think there's nothing they don't know, really, except for surgery themselves.
Doctors are the lifeblood of a hospital, reaching even the remotest parts, on foot.
Average, we do about 10 to 12 miles a shift in an 8-hour shift. So yeah, it's a hell of a lot of walking.
I did a 28,000 step day the other week. Been here 5 months, I'm on my 3rd pair of shoes already.
We pick up blood for general patients and for emergencies.
We attend every cardiac arrest that goes on in the hospital. If there's an emergency down that end, blood transfusions down at the other end. And sometimes on one call, you could be running backwards and forwards 4 or 5 times.
They got to work really hard sometimes because I'm the one that makes them work. They don't call me any names on the radio, but I can feel it. They call me the Beastmaster sometimes.
This is a 750-bed hospital.
And I'll grab you some fresh towels for tomorrow.
Oh, good. Thank you very much.
On busy wards, linen can be changed many times a day. To keep up, staff need 10 sets of linen per bed.
2 pillows enough?
Yes, quite enough. Thank you very much.
But how does the hospital cope with thousands of dirty sheets? In the hospital laundry, they've mechanised war against infection. The laundry's state-of-the-art machinery cleans 260,000 articles a week. Over 14 million items a year. It's not just linen that must be spotless. Doctors' greens and nurses' blues. Scrubs and gowns, all the hospital's dirty clothing is resurrected here.
The guys at the bottom are feeding the laundry up to the top of the gantry, where the guys are then sorting it out into sheets, blankets, bath towels, pillowcases, patient gowns, nightwear, theatre scrub suits, everything, you name it, we've got it in it.
Potentially infected linen is double-bagged at the hospital. An outer red bag to alert laundry staff to danger, and an inner bag that dissolves in water.
It gets a different wash process. It's getting a double wash, so we're definitely going to kill whatever's in it.
Laundry workers often find a more pleasant surprise in the folds.
We occasionally get mobile phones, iPads, laptops, and things like scissors and needles, which aren't really helpful. We also find quite a lot of personal jewellery, rings, necklaces, earrings, which is always nice to find when people phone up, because sometimes they've lost a relative and it means a lot to them to get it back, and it's good to get it back to people. They're very grateful.
Back in the acute stroke unit, after 3 hours of scrubbing and steaming, they wheel out the latest technology in the arms race against infection. The Deep Clean robot. It will fill the air with a powerful chemical that's familiar to hairdressers. Hydrogen peroxide. It's great at bleaching hair, but as a vapour, it's weaponised to exterminate killer bugs.
We have to be outside because the environment inside we're going to fill with a hydrogen peroxide vapour. This is going to kill the microorganisms.
The bleach vapour is so strong it can't be allowed to leak out. All the air vents are sealed and covered, so the gas doesn't harm people elsewhere in the hospital.
Obviously, we don't want that to escape from the room whilst it's happening, so we seal the room up completely with tape on the door, and then we'll make sure everything's ready before we start.
The misting will keep this ward closed for another 2.5 hours. The laundry's 2 huge washing machines are brand new and cost £500,000 each. They're hungry beasts, consuming 50 kilos of dirty linen, 8 domestic loads every 2 minutes. 3 tons of washing an hour.
This is the first part of the area, so this is doing our pre-wash. This is wetting down and adding chemicals to try and break up the stains to start with.
In the centre sections is the main wash and the real bug killer, thermal disinfection. 65 degrees Celsius for at least 10 minutes. There's no spin cycle. Every 2 minutes, a clean load emerges, squeezed dry by enormous pressure. 350 tonnes total per load.
If we don't manage to find any items back up in our sorting and grading area, this will demolish it.
Staff clean on an industrial scale. A synchronised regiment with one aim, killing bugs.
Yeah, I'm a bit OCD, I think. It's like with my car. I'm a bit OCD with that. It's got to be clean all the time. You know. I don't like dirty glass. I don't like dirty paintwork. Wheels have got to be spot on, so... yeah, attention to detail with me.
You're in the right job, then?
I think so, yeah.
Shirley inspects 800 sheets an hour. Eagle-eyed for any fault, she rejects anything not perfectly clean.
And my mum's been in hospital quite a few times this year. And the sheets are always clean. That's the main thing, isn't it? If we send through clean sheets, then the patients can't get any germs from here.
So we'll just go into the ward to make sure it's going to finish on time. It's crucial that the beds come back into the system by the end of the day. We'll have 10 empty beds by the time I finish tonight.
In the acute stroke unit, hydrogen peroxide vapour has settled on every surface, penetrated every nook and cranny, killing any remaining bacteria or viruses.
I'm checking that we've got no gas leaks, so we're safe. Obviously, inside the room, there'll be quite high levels, but we need to make sure that we've sealed the door correctly. And so far, so good.
At the end of the cycle, the robot reabsorbs the mist, and the room will be safe to enter. Patients will be returned to disinfected, freshly made beds.
So once the mister is finished in there, we'll move the patients. Brilliant. Okay.
Yep.
Good, good, good. We need those beds.
The ward will soon be back in action.
Cheers, thank you.
While upstairs, another unseen team keep the operating theatres running on schedule. 14-year-old Sid needs life-changing surgery to straighten his spine.
It's quite painful a lot of the time.
Surgeons will put in titanium rods and colour-coded screws.
Yeah, but it'd be like Wolverine, wouldn't you? Yeah.
But the vital ingredient is a big surprise.
The anaesthetist did say that they use old lady bones.
Recycled bone.
Through the double doors here, stairs on your left, lift on your right. You need to go up one floor.
A&E is the most high-profile hospital department, but our backstage pass to the secret life of the hospital reveals it's just a small cog in this vast medical machine.
Good morning, Royal Devon today.
In fact, only 14% of patients arrive at hospital unexpected, seeking emergency treatment. The vast majority have an appointment. One of over 100 million appointments attended in NHS hospitals every year.
This level, straight to the end, left, area C.
Getting ready for this deluge is another mammoth task for health records. Every day, the records team must find almost 2,500 sets of notes and prepare them for over 300 outpatient clinics.
I've had quite a few dreams about stamping, prepping. Members of the team being in my dreams, very, very odd dreams. I think we pretty much do it in our sleep as well as come in during the day and stamping away as much as possible.
Consultants must have a patient's medical notes at their fingertips.
For a patient, you know, there is an assumption that when you're seen, your notes will be there.
I've actually been in health records in clinic prep for, this will be 12 years coming up. So I've kind of spent my youth here. I think I've got about another 60 sets of notes to prep and not a lot of time to do it in.
14-year-old Sid Hancock's appointment is with the orthopaedic surgeons who will be operating on his spine.
So this chap's 14 years old and he has this scoliosis. And scoliosis basically is a three-dimensional deformity. And we can see that the curve here is in the thoracic, the chest region of his spine. So what we're going to try and do is rotate this part of his spine back to being straighter.
Morning.
Morning.
Sid's operation is just one of 80 scheduled today.
Any problems today? No.
It's a surgeon's decision to operate, but the power to organise the 24 theatres is in the hands of the matrons.
All days. Have you got X-ray? Have you spoken to them?
Yeah, that is already booked.
Any additional comments and actions?
The beds are a bit tight, but they think they'll all pan out.
Fine. Any equipment issues so far this morning?
They call me the Oracle. When anybody comes in, they can't find anything, and they just all make a beeline. Hill, where's this? Hill, where's that? Is that all you need? Would you want
a few more things on the other side?
Okay, give me a shout if you can't find it. Thank you. I've got a lot of knowledge in surgical procedures and in anaesthetic procedures, so unfortunately I was in the wrong place at the wrong time to be given this job. I manage the stock for the department, so anything runs out here, it comes down to me. In total, I manage about 4,000 lines, and I take a lot of pride knowing that everything is here.
With 30,000 procedures a day and millions of potential patients, the NHS supply chain never sleeps, delivering over £1.5 billion worth of supplies a year, including 10 million disposable scalpels, 250 million syringes of all sizes, and over 1.7 billion pairs of examination gloves.
We need to save money, and over the last 7 years, I've saved hundreds and thousands of pounds by sourcing alternative suppliers. Just things like this is our suction tubing, used everywhere in the trust. By just changing the bore by 1 millimetre, saved thousands and thousands of pounds.
2 kilocat spools, baby 1/8 inch.
Yeah.
Although frantically busy, every operating theatre is shut down for maintenance twice a year. The estates department takes care of even the tiniest backstage detail.
We try to catch anything that might break down, to check it all and make sure it is going to last to the next 6 months, unless they do something silly with it, which is quite possible.
Every single light bulb is replaced, working or not. Everything is double-checked.
Just making sure that they've got full movement, no obvious damage, excess wear, things like that. At the end of the day, if it was your relative or a friend being brought in here to be operated on to have their life saved, you'd want everything working to its best ability to give the surgeons the best chance they had of saving their lives.
Sid is called into theatre only when everyone and everything is ready for him.
Hello there. All right. Come on in. Hi there.
Hi.
All right. Let's get you settled down. Let's get you sat down. So before we do...
Behind the operating room doors is a hidden world of precision tools. Spinal surgery calls for trays and trays of specialist surgical equipment.
Trish, could we have a few more nuts, please?
And racks of screws. They are colour-coded for diameter, but each must be carefully double-checked for length by hand.
Yeah, that's...
Finely machined from titanium, they are light, strong, and will never corrode. They cost up to £300 each. Sid will need 22.
You want hold of please? Yeah, that's it. Beautiful.
When a patient is cut open, they're vulnerable to infection. A clean and sterile environment is a matter of life and death. But bugs can still get in, carried by the air. The plant rooms in the roof of the hospital are a far cry from the quiet, pristine theatres. But in this noisy, dirty place is one of the most important pieces of theatre equipment, its air handling unit.
This is the dedicated AHU air handling unit. It takes the air from outside in, it puts it through various filters, sensors, things like that, and then it will go through a chilling coil or a heating coil, so that the air can be chilled or heated as required by the theatre.
Pushing clean air into the operating theatre has a vital extra role. Dirty, potentially infectious air is pushed out.
The air inside the theatre is pressurised. You've got invasive surgery going on. You don't want outside air for the germs coming in, so you try to keep out as much as possible.
Right, shall we do an X-ray now of the screws?
An X-ray of Sid's spine shows that all the screws are well positioned to hold the titanium rods that will straighten his back.
The screws grip hold of the spine, and then the rods have a certain shape, and so you attach the rod to the screws to put the spine into the shape you're hoping to get it to. Somewhat straighter, and then you want it to stay there.
But the metalwork is only half the story.
That's it.
Over time, the rods may break, or the screws come loose. So to fuse his spine straight for life, Sid needs a bone graft.
We want the correction to be maintained by the rods and screws while the bone graft heals in the same position, and to create a fusion so that it's solid bone.
But where will his bone graft come from? Over 120,000 hip replacements are carried out in NHS hospitals each year, successfully treating what was once a crippling condition.
You get pain in the hip when you're walking, going downhill, and as it gets really bad, you can't sleep.
So how does getting a new metal hip help with bone grafts?
This is your thigh bone, as it would be. As you can see from this, I'll go this way. When you have your hip replacement, the surgeons will actually cut across here, and this bit will be removed.
The old femoral heads can be donated for recycling. For all the high-tech equipment in theatre, bone graft preparation comes down to what looks like a good old-fashioned mincer. To get a femoral head, operating staff make a withdrawal from the bone bank.
Sit at the very back, 5682.
Kept deep frozen way down at minus 80 degrees C, the donated femoral heads can be stored for 5 years.
I don't think I've ever known that we've actually discarded, as we call discarded, a femoral head that has actually reached its sell-by date. They're always implanted prior to that actually happening. It's marvellous that people have donated, and we don't want to waste anything at all.
I'm just taking off the soft tissue and cartilage from the head, because we just want the cancellous bone that's inside.
30 femoral heads are donated every month, making the hospital self-sufficient in bone graft material. And even better, it's free.
It's a win-win situation, really. People like it because it's upcycling.
It's time to add the milled femoral head that will fuse Sid's spine in position.
So the femoral head milled up will act basically as a scaffolding for this young man's bone cells to grow through to create the fusion, you see.
Once the bone has been used, Louise, the bone bank coordinator, organises a surprise thank you letter from the hospital.
It gives them a feel-good factor. I've actually had patients phone up and say to me that they were so chuffed to bits, because obviously it's a long time sometimes from the point of donation to the point of implantation, can be up to 4.5, nearly 5 years. And sometimes they forget that they've done that.
It feels nice to get it. It's an acknowledgement that you've done something, that somebody you know definitely has benefited from that.
Sid's operation has taken 4.5 hours. And now staff have a lot of clearing up to do. Medicine is a messy business, and 1/3 of the waste it generates is classed as infectious. As it can't go to landfill, it's expensive to get rid of, costing from £400 to £22,000 per tonne. The logistics team collect it in their electric tugs and take it away.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8.
But the contaminated surgical instruments are much too valuable to throw away. They are precision engineered for specialist procedures, costing from £600 up to £8,000 each. So where do they go after the surgeons have finished with them? When used surgical instruments arrive at the hospital sterilisation and decontamination unit, they are filthy, bloody and potentially infectious. They have to leave pristine and sterile, ready to go again, and again, and again.
That figure there is the amount of times it's been used. So that's 1,238 that's been through.
500 sets a day are sent through these powerful industrial dishwashers.
Just make sure it starts.
It's the first step in a 4-hour process. Next, each instrument must be thoroughly checked.
I'm just checking all the instruments, all the joints to make sure that they've all come through the wash clean. If you come across anything that doesn't look like it's meeting or it's a bit broken, you send it off and it'll go for repair. We actually have to know all the instruments so that we can make sure they're all there in the first place. That's the Littlewoods. There's an Addison's, that's a 4-set. I call it, when I first started, I always thought it was a tweezer, but it's not. That's a retractor, sort of pulling you open when our surgeon's operating. I've seen a couple of operations, really interesting. Did you get the chance to go up and watch some?
What's your favourite?
Hip. It's really interesting how they throw your leg around to get to the hip.
Before sterilisation, each set of washed and checked instruments is wrapped. It looks like a simple parcel, but the cloths and the sticky tape are designed with hidden qualities. Once steam sterilised under pressure at 135 degrees C for 3.5 minutes, the stripes on the tape have changed from green to black.
But I'm just checking this that the indicators all change colour.
Staff can tell at a glance that a pack has been sterilised. The weave of the cloths has closed up in the heat, sealing in the sterilised instruments. The sets are ready for surgery again.
Yeah, just do a little bit, don't worry too much.
Yeah, don't force it.
After his spinal operation, Sid's in the recovery area.
I'm feeling like I've been stabbed in the back a few times, but like, yeah, pretty good to be honest.
It's gone really well, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's kind of weird to think there are titanium rods in my back. If I have a hip replacement, or 2 hip replacements and a knee replacement,
It'll be a bionic.
We have rebuilt you.
Yeah.
it's going to be like Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah.
And it'll only be a matter of time before I can move into my cyborg body.
The secret life of the hospital is full of contradictions. While one department is killing bugs, another is feeding them, growing them as fast as possible, because another patient's life hangs in the balance.
Ready, steady, slide.
The emergency department is dealing with the aftermath of a serious crash.
At 8:30, 5 people in a van, and the van hit the central armco, the central reservation, bounced, flipped, and then crashed into one of the bridge parapets.
And the rest of them have gone somewhere
No, the driver's
else,
dead
or-
on the scene.
Okay. Right, Justin. So this is the CT scan, okay? The bed is going to move into this donuts, okay? It'll be noisy, but you'll be okay.
Justin has suffered possibly serious head and facial injuries.
So a CT scan will reveal really vital information. So all patients who have major trauma will have a CT scan of virtually their entire body. Quite often it's possible to miss quite important injuries.
Medical imaging is a magic window for doctors to see inside the body.
But there's certainly no major amount of blood there. There's an anterior skull fracture, probably running just about down here in relation to the eye.
He's quite drowsy intermittently, that's the only thing.
I did notice that, yeah. The history goes against this being a significant head injury, doesn't it? Because he crawled out and immediately was speaking, crawled out through a rear window.
Medical imaging is such a vital tool in diagnosis, that 42 million scans of all types were made in England last year. Doctors rely on them. The scanners simply have to work. At 6 a.m. this morning, this room looked very different when the engineer woke the CT scanners. These giant X-ray machines are one of the most complex in the hospital. And there was a hitch.
Something's not picked up, something's not synced as this system's coming up, so it's not happy. They break down quite a lot. There's an awful lot of systems. There's a big computer under here, there's various computers actually within the CT itself. They've all got to come up and they've all got to sync so that they all know what they're doing.
The cost of one CT scanner is £480,000 before installation. The human cost of a breakdown is incalculable.
If it fails this test now and the system's not working, it's absolute chaos.
Modern medicine demands a vast number of electronic devices of all shapes and sizes, working 24/7.
We have many machines. We have something like 30,000 assets actually on the hospital site. That does vary from a standard little handheld thermometer up to ventilators and critical care and anaesthetic machines. So within this hospital, we look after anything that's attached to the patient. So that's ECGs, defibrillators, monitors, equipment that patients are connected to, such as the incubators.
Born 10 weeks early, weighing just £3 7 ounces, Beatrix has spent her first 4 days either on her mum Jess or in an incubator.
She's still on 61% humidity, so it's nice and warm in there, and it's also quite humid.
Nice tropical environment.
Yeah.
Parents Jess and Mike have been told jaundice is common in preterm babies, and Beatrix is being treated in the incubator with ultraviolet light.
And she's been sunbathing because the UV lights, the phototherapy that she's having, which is why she's quite dark. Sounds like a nice holiday, really, doesn't it?
At Becky's workbench is an incubator just like Beatrix's.
So the problem with this piece of equipment is this sensor here. It wasn't picking up the temperature very well on planned maintenance. I have a new one that I can replace with.
Infant respiratory distress syndrome is the leading cause of neonatal death. An incubator malfunction could be disastrous.
And we actually replace parts before they fail. So it is very much a proactive rather than reactive. The incubators are always left at a running temperature so they can swap the baby safely into another incubator. We tend to be the pixie service. We go in, they don't see us, we pick up the equipment that's failed and we drop it back when we've tested it and it's fixed.
Good morning. Would you like some breakfast?
Sometimes I feel that a nice cup of tea is just as good as any medicine.
Tracy Whitcomb, go back to Creedy.
Yeah, she's not quite ready yet.
As porters move people through the hospital maze, the patients are in their care.
Part of our job is actually sort of reading the patient.
A lot of people that come in here are quite scared, nervous about what's going to happen.
Sometimes they'll confide in you when you're on your way down to X-ray at 3 a.m. rather than talk to the nurse.
How are you today, sir?
I'm okay, thank you. A very happy chappy.
That's the main thing.
I'm going home.
What, today?
Yeah.
Oh.
You get the ones who want to talk, you know, who tell you their life stories.
Go and see my wife again. The only times we've been apart is when I've been in hospital.
If you go into an oncology, a palliative section of the hospital, you've got to be sensitive, respectful and dignified.
Do you want to sit in the bed or a chair?
I'll probably sit in the chair, I think.
Chair?
Yeah.
Goes right from the bottom right up to the top, consultants and things. We're all doing the same job in a sense of, you know, patient care.
Good afternoon, Royal Devon and Exeter. Yes, certainly.
Every day, the switchboard staff double-check the emergency team's pages are working
099.
before they're needed.
099 even. Testing for speech on 099. Testing for speech on 099. Thank you. Thank you very much. We do it cardiac in the mornings. Lunchtimes, it's the gynae teams. Evenings, it's trauma, the important ones that go to the crash calls.
We go out to the air ambulance and you never know what's going to come in off there.
Doing a lot of helicopters. We get it through on the bleep. It says helicopters landing in 5 minutes. If I've got 2 quarters free and available, I send them straight down. They stop all the traffic. And then they bring a patient in from the helicopter. And we do the same again for takeoff.
Charlotte Blackman is finding it increasingly hard to breathe. It's an emergency because she has the genetic lung condition cystic fibrosis.
The problem with cystic fibrosis is the lungs don't clear secretions as well, so all the gunk sits in the lungs and it's more likely to get infected.
We'll just take some blood. Let us know if you feel dizzy, we can lay you back a bit.
Scratch going?
Yeah.
Healthy blood is sterile. Your body kills off invading bacteria in minutes. But Charlotte has a weak immune system and could easily develop blood poisoning, sepsis.
Sepsis is a big problem because it can be such a life-threatening illness. Then we need to be on top of it as soon as possible.
250,000 people develop sepsis every year, often deadly. It kills 1 in 6. Patients with a bacterial infection are immediately prescribed a generally effective antibiotic. But there's a danger it might not work. The problem is that once miraculous, all-powerful antibiotics are now defeated by resistant strains of bugs. So hospitals counterattack with another weapon in their armoury: microbiology.
It's critical. Without microbiology, we wouldn't know what the bacteria are, we wouldn't know what antibiotics we are able to use, and more importantly, what antibiotics we can't use.
Charlotte's blood is drawn into special blood culture bottles and sent by airpod out across the hospital site to the microbiology lab. But flying possibly infected blood around the hospital in a pod can be dangerous if it breaks. This is Stargate, the heart of the pod system. A giant router of 16 three-way switches. And of course, miles of tubes. Paul is one of the engineers whose job it is to fix the pod system when it goes wrong.
It is really reliable. It does break down, it does give us headaches, big headaches at times. If the bands come off or the lids break, it could cause jam-ups in the system. So you'll end up with a pod stuck in the tube and other pods will back in onto it. And then you end up having to take the tube system apart to rod out, push out the damaged pods.
A damaged pod can mean a leak of infectious body fluids spread throughout the hospital.
You do get spillages of items that are sent. Some of them aren't pleasant. So how do you clean the system like this? We've got a second pod, which we load it with a chlorine cleaning chemical. And then as the pod's being forced through the system by the air, the chlorine solution comes out of the pod, which disinfects the line as it goes.
In the microbiology lab, how do the scientists know Charlotte's blood even has bacteria in it?
Just have to try and give them the best environment for them to grow as quickly as possible.
So the blood bottles are kept at body temperature, 37 degrees C.
This is a machine which monitors the bloods every 10 minutes, and if there are any bugs growing, they will flag positive. There we go. That is a positive. It just tells us that there is something going on. We need to take the bottle off and then do some more testing.
Next, they encourage them to grow even more, into colonies of over 100,000. Big enough to clearly see the damage they're doing in the blood.
So those bugs are producing a toxin which are lysing the red cells, so it's actually breaking, rupturing the red cells. So if you can imagine that's what's happening in the blood, then the blood cells are being ruptured.
And how serious is that?
It could be very serious. It could be very serious.
If you don't find out which antibiotic is the best one, what's going to happen here?
If you don't find out straight away, or as soon as possible, then this could be a life-threatening situation.
So how do they find out which antibiotic will kill the bug before the bug kills the patient?
We've got some paper discs impregnated with different antibiotics.
After many hours on a culture plate coated in the bacteria, one antibiotic has clearly lost the battle.
This antibiotic has no effect against this bacteria. If the organism grew up to a disc and the patient was on that antibiotic, then that wouldn't be beneficial to the patient, and we would try and get the patient off of that antibiotic and onto something more effective as soon as possible.
Fortunately for this patient, there's also a clear winner.
This antibiotic here has created a big zone of inhibition, and so the organism would be killed in the patient if they were on this antibiotic.
Thanks to the lab, the bug causing Charlotte's chest infection is identified and quickly treated.
We're trying to save lives. We don't actually see patients themselves. We see little pots of people, little bits of things which come into the lab, and we do our bit to try to get the right result back to the medics so that they can then affect change in the patient and hopefully get them home as soon as possible.
The microbiology lab is full of bugs, but now the secret life of the hospital leads us into its brand new, bug-free facility. Not just the cleanest place in the hospital, but one of the cleanest places on Earth.
One bacteria inside the product could cause death to the patient.
Can you confirm who you are?
I'm Cameron Brooking.
Yeah.
16th of the 10th, 2002.
Correct.
15-year-old Cameron is halfway through a 16-week course of chemotherapy.
Right.
Thank you all.
Fabulous. Well done.
Yes.
A diagnosis of cancer is always a shock.
So it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's a lymph node in my neck that got cancerous cells. It's gone down into my chest and lung. Not my lung.
Yeah, big tumour on
yeah,
your
just
chest.
a tumour. So I didn't notice it at first. I just found a lump.
Hodgkin's lymphoma is one of the most common cancers in 13 to 24-year-olds, and fortunately one of the most treatable if found early. It's all very new to Cameron and his parents.
Your diagnosis was quite recent then?
Yeah, eight weeks ago. About 8 weeks. So it was very quick.
It's very quick from diagnosis to start of chemo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Literally 6 days.
And you're on, a bit of a roller coaster there. Your mind's not in it, and we were swept along as a family looking after Cameron. And then the treatment started.
Intravenous chemotherapy, like Cameron's, is a poison to kill cancer and must be made especially for each patient. So how does this busy hospital meet the demand for 500 sterile bags of highly toxic treatments a week? This is an all-new facility, Aseptics. It's not just the cleanest place in the hospital, but one of the cleanest places in the world. Staff are zealous in keeping it a strictly germ-free zone.
We can't have one bacteria inside the product because it could cause death to the patient.
The Aseptics facility doesn't only make poisonous cocktails to kill cancers, but also nourishing liquid food called TPN for vulnerable patients in intensive care and premature babies like Beatrix.
She is very small, and when she was first born, her stomach's not developed enough to take my breast milk. And so she's on TPN, which is, as far as I'm aware, it's like a liquid full of nutrients that she would have got from me, but it's fed to her intravenously while her stomach gets used to my breast milk.
So the TPN in itself is filtered through a line, and that one gets changed every 4 days. So the TPN is in the bag that's sealed from light, so we do protect it from light. And that comes down the orange line here and then directly into her vein, because that's the way that she's getting her nutrition, so she isn't going to grow without it.
At the heart of Aseptics is a sterile room. It's ringed with defences like a medieval fortress, designed to be impregnable to bugs. To get to work in there, staff must negotiate 5 zones. First, a gowning room. Each zone is at a higher air pressure than the last. Bacteria are simply blown away.
We're having a cascade of pressures as well to ensure that the bacteria, which is more or less our enemy, doesn't come into our cleanest room.
But the fortress has one terrible weakness: the staff. Although they scrub up like surgeons and even check that their hands are bug-free, they just can't help bringing in dirt against the flow.
The skin of humans is one of our biggest problems. Unfortunately, the skin is shedding, so particles are always getting into the environment, which could be a risk of contamination of any product. So the staff going inside the facilities are only gowned up to a maximum, so the exposure of skin is kept to a minimum.
Anyone with dandruff or dry skin problems can't go in. Makeup is not allowed, and even in surgical clogs, feet are a curse.
So shoes are one of our biggest enemies as well, because there's lots of dirt you could bring through your footwear.
The countermeasure is high-tech tacky mats designed to snatch any particles of dirt from shoes. Regularly cleaned and serviced, their tough, specially formulated polymers last for 25 years. If it all seems a bit OTT, remember, bacteria have no mercy.
We do not want to bring even a smallest bacteria into the room, because we could contaminate the product and then we could infect a patient.
The technicians are only halfway through their super clean journey to work. Before they can make any life-saving intravenous fluids, there is yet another gowning room at even higher pressure, where they must add an extra layer of sterile clothing and an extra pair of sterile gloves, just to be sure. At last, the inner sanctum. The preparation cabinet is completely sterile and has a 3rd pair of gloves as a final barrier. In there is the highest pressure of all, and even a nicked glove will trigger an alarm.
It has been shown worldwide that products have been contaminated during preparations and then maybe infused into patient died following contamination of the product, or patient maybe died on overdosages because maybe the products were not diluted appropriately.
The worst has happened, but never here.
Okay, TPN, baby TPN, Solivito.
Each preparation has a team of at least 3 people.
Petty trays 2.5.
1 making.
And water for injections 5 mils.
1 double-checking fluid volumes.
Correct, thank you.
And another triple-checking the whole process.
If there's any doubt, it gets rejected and we have to restart again. So there's never anywhere that we're not 100% happy with the product.
No, this is the half-hour one.
Oh, brilliant.
And then you have the big long one.
Big one.
After that.
Nice.
Cameron's treatment today will take some time.
Yeah, I've got a 7-hour one that's coming up. So it's like a 1-hour infusion, but then they need a 6-hour flush. So that's what's keeping us in for most of the day.
So you've got to start a main course and dessert today, haven't you?
Yeah.
Cameron's chemotherapy fluid flows in through a semi-permanent catheter or PICC line to a major vein by his heart.
I'm big on football and table tennis, but with the PICC line, it's a bit of a struggle. So I'm not allowed to play in goal, which is where I played, and I'm not allowed to play table tennis. But hey,
Temporary.
Temporary.
It's temporary.
Yeah, exactly. So.
We go to hospital to get better. But it's a fact of life that some of us will not go home.
Hello, Boris John speaking. How can I help you?
For the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital, it's a daily event.
Deceased patient. All booked for you. Bye.
We rely on our hospitals for treatment throughout our lives. Specialist departments are there for us at the start of life and at the end.
Hello, Greg. Could you take you and young Ryan with you and do a Rosie, please, down on Yorty?
Okay, Rosie.
Got a patient to go to the Rose Cottage, which is the mortuary. It's the first one today, because it sounds better over the radio, Rose Cottage, than taking someone to the mortuary.
Does that happen a lot?
Yeah. If it's in a ward, they make sure that all the curtains are cold around all the other patients. Check all the patient's details. Patient is in a bag. Make sure they got no jewelry and stuff like that on them. They transfer the bag onto the trolley. Then put a blue cover on. Nobody sees you do it. And then they go to the mortuary.
Placed in a secluded corner, the mortuary is one of the most sensitive departments in the hospital. The staff receive 1,700 deceased people from the hospital every year.
Well, anyone that comes to our department is still a patient. They're still in the care of the hospital, and by saying patient, it really reinforces the fact that that is still a person that someone has lost and still loves.
Inside this closed-off world, there are 79 refrigerated spaces, concealed from visiting relatives. They see their loved ones specially laid out in the viewing room.
Our role is really to look after those people. There's a lot of different things that we need to do to make sure that that journey is as smooth as possible for bereaved people. Just simple things like making sure that their hair's shampooed and blow-dried so that their relatives can see them again. That's what makes our jobs worthwhile.
Hyper-aware that even the smallest mistake could be devastating, staff double-check everything by using very important fridge magnets.
We first of all will check that we don't have any patients with the same or similar name in the department. If we do, we'll make sure that there's an alert in place so that we're always showing the right patient to the right family. We don't get second chances. We're one of the few areas of medicine where you can't put something right. If we make a mistake, it's wrong, and it'll be wrong for the family for the rest of their lives.
Advanced medical technology is used throughout the hospital, so the mortuary staff must be aware of devices like heart pacemakers or defibrillators. These must be removed as batteries explode during cremation. And there's an added danger.
With the internal defibrillator, they will still continue to shock. So they're like the big paddles that you'd see in A&E. They'll still continue to shock after death. So if we were doing a post-mortem examination, we'd need to know that patient has a defibrillator in and that it's switched off so that we don't get that shock. If it's enough to start a heart, it's enough to stop a heart.
The adults you get used to, but the babies you never do.
You never get over taking babies to the mortuary. I've been doing it for 25 years and it never gets any easier, really.
Yeah, it's difficult. Difficult.
Our hospitals are so familiar to us, we think we know them intimately. But we don't. There are hundreds of backstage departments and thousands of people working behind the scenes, keeping the hospital show on the road. Every minute of every hour of every day, they are living the secret life of the hospital.